All right, there she is. Well, partially assembled. I still got the 73 overhead, the 56 overhead, and that's all gonna be predicated on these two 28N lockers being installed. Also, you saw the only thing that really has defeated me. I say a defeat because I haven't been able to reinstall that drawer by myself. I was able to remove it, but not install it by myself. So I'm gonna have to call out help. It's just too wide for me to maneuver it in place. Or like I was saying in the previous video, you know, you sometimes just gotta walk away and come back and reattack. So we'll come back and reattack that. Obviously I was able to get that smaller one installed by myself. So how did today start? In a recap, I had what, 7 boxes here? Is it 7? Yeah. So I had a stainless steel top. First of all, I had the bottom on the platform, stainless steel box, or top in the box still, and the work center still. I was able to hoist that bottom up and get it in place, and worked out, minus the fact that when I was hoisting that thing up, obviously I removed it because I don't like stuff hanging over from overhead. So what happened was, this thing, I don't know if you can really see it, but the spool in there, obviously if it has any amount of if any part of it is loose, it's gonna slip or something. So I heard that sound, and I had the wooden platform for the box like standing up vertically, like right here where I'm at. I heard that and I was like, oh crap, something is gonna fall. And I thought it was the thing that was gonna give loose up there. So I let go of that platform knowing I was the only one in here. And like I said, it was standing right here. And that was the result of that. So this was a failure. So, but luckily, remove these screws and this trim, I can take it off and replace it. I mean, you can tell that this thing gouged this thing up pretty good. Like it has a gouge right here. Like this thing is completely gouged. And then you have this big gouge right there. So, yeah, so I'll get that replaced if they have replaceable ones for that. Pretty sure it is. And that's the design of this anyway, to, you know, to be dented, to take the hit versus taking the toolbox. So I'm gonna chalk that up as a, at least in my line of work, that's a failure. That's bent metal. You bent metal. So call that one a failure, even though successfully I was able to get the box off the wooden platform. That platform was pretty heavy. I'm not gonna lie, it's about 200 pounds. Here is the actual contraption. Let's see real quick. Here's the actual contraption that Harbor Freight has designed for you to use to roll that toolbox off. If you've seen that video, the toolbox, the side that it was positioned on was facing the garage door. And I talked about having the lip right there and not wanting to push the box outside and, you know, having to deal with that coming back inwards. So that's the design of this thing. As you can see, it's pretty hollow. So it's not meant to bear any weight. So don't go loading your toolbox and then trying to push it off there because it just might collapse. So there's that. The second thing to go up was the stainless steel top. No issues there. It was, I mean, again, it's about 70 something pounds maybe, if I had to guess. I don't remember what the specs on that was. But from there I got it up, I think. Yeah, we talked about the drawers already, trying to reinstall those. So I took them out initially because you had to get those wing nuts under there. So I got it in place with the wing nuts. Oh, so I had some issues with the wing nuts, just not aligning. But kind of talked through it, got it done. And then it was on to using the template. It was on to using this template to make those holes right here. So this one, and you can see that one is already pre-installed, and one right there, one right there. So drilling, so my holes are slightly off because I didn't have a center punch to punch it and then drill. So I kind of drilled through this, and I believe it was this one. You can see where it's slightly elongated, but nonetheless, all the screw holes kind of align. They're a little bit kind of cockeyed in a sense, one or two of them, but nonetheless, that works. It's not the end of the world. I started bolting them in after I installed this work center, which we'll talk about here, but it's just making a lot of noise. So I at least have, oops, tripping over here. I at least have a diagonal, the diagonal portions partially installed, so it's not gonna go anywhere. All right, next up, the thing that almost took me out was the work center. So as you saw, I was like, well, I'm gonna, first of all, this box was over here. This was, the work center was like right here. And I was like, well, if I kind of slide them both individually in unison, I can swap positions, because I decided that I wasn't gonna reposition that eyelet over here to hoist it up. Eventually got that to work by tipping this on its side. And then unscrewing the wooden piece, which came off by itself. And then I just unscrewed the lag bolts that held it down. So from there, it was like, all right, let me get it in place to hoist it up. And as you saw in the video that I'm gonna post here, I'm not sure which one is gonna get posted first, but that thing, the strap that I had was definitely not centered, or even if it was centered, it started sliding. So when I had my foot on it, I pretty much had my body weight holding it down. But as I transitioned to using my hand when the unit came higher, as the unit came higher in the hoist, I transitioned to using my hand to hold it down. That's when I was like, oh shit, it's starting to slide. And I was like, oop, reverse direction and trying to go down, trying to press on it to keep it like in balance, keep the center of gravity, which was precarious. Basically what could have happened there, it could have easily just slipped because it was like leaning this direction. It could have just easily slipped out of that strap because, I mean, it's on a slick surface, right? Slipped out and made contact with this 73 overhead and dented it. And I mean, worse, it hurt me while I was standing on top of the box trying to do all this operation. So, yeah, that happened. And I was like, well, let's get this thing down. So luckily I was able to get it down without it falling, like sliding out of the strap. And then that's when I got the long Husky, routed it from lengthwise, and then I needed a piece, and then that's where I ran inside the house and found a bucket of straps, along with all the mess that I have going on in there. And luckily I found the piece that I needed real quick, added it, and then that kind of stabilized it. It was still off-centered when I lifted it, so that made it a little bit difficult to maneuver the box in place, but nonetheless I got it maneuvered. And then the last thing that happened, so before I installed it, I closed the hutch, the door on the hutch, and then the keys were inside. So when I got it lowered, the keys were stuck beneath there. And then I'm trying to like lift an end of it, realizing that, oh shit, this is gonna fall off over here if I lift too much or push and pull too much. But trying to lift this end and trying to shimmy something under it. So eventually I was able to get a piece of cardboard, collapsible cardboard underneath it, you know, reach for a long pick, hook, whatever, and kind of fish that thing out. So that's what happened in a nutshell. I will definitely be getting swivel casters for these. And how I'm gonna approach that is, so these are the swivel ones and those are the fixed ones. I'm just gonna use my jack Hopefully I'll get it before the stuff gets loaded down or starts getting loaded down. I'll just jack it up, put some 2x4s or something under it, pretty much like a jack stand, but I'm just gonna use 2x4s or something because I won't be lifting it that high for a jack stand. Put 2x4s under it so I'm safe, and undo those casters and replace them with solo casters, just so if I ever need to maneuver this thing, I will be able to do it in a tighter space. What else is there? I had mentioned it in a video that should be getting posted here, but I don't think I have enough working room to hoist these things up using the electric hoist, because I mean, from where it hooks into the ceiling, the body of the unit, to where this thing fully goes inside is like right here, and then obviously you got the hook. So I do have a chain hoist. I gotta go fish that out somewhere, so I might have to use a chain hoist to do this, because there's no way that, I doubt we're gonna be able to lift that thing. And by we, I mean my wife. So I'm gonna try my best to do it solo, like everything else. Well, I haven't done everything else by myself, but you know what I mean. Everything that you've seen me do by myself as far as this assembly process. So I'm gonna try to do it. I'll have straps around it for the lifting in the center, and then I'll have straps around that side also. That makes sense. Basically straps on either side, so I don't end up in the same situation that I did with the work center. So tomorrow I'm gonna come up with a game plan to install those. But first I'm gonna make sure I bolt this thing down, get that drawer back in, which is not really critical. And before I can even install these tops, technically I could install the 73 and it would fit perfectly on there, because it's 73. But I have a 56 sitting there, so I gotta install these 28s. And I think what I'm gonna do is, I'm not sure if I'm gonna have it facing outwards or facing outwards the driveway, because I mean, again, the floor is partially done and it won't fit lengthwise in here. So I might have to face it that direction. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have to install those lockers first. And luckily the lockers are on these temporary wheels and permanent casters. So I'll just kind of leave those in place until I can finish this floor and finally move this box where it needs to be. But if I can get those installed, I can get the these two I'm losing my voice, these two top lockers installed. Man, I'm losing my voice. So I think that's a good indication of calling it quits. But yeah, liking the look so far. Sorry about the shakiness. I'm kind of freehanding this. My nerves are shot from this. My voice is shot. All in all, a success, but a failure based on the damage I did to my Milwaukee. My precious Milwaukee box. But still got all my digits. Yeah, I didn't smash anything, so definitely grateful for that. I was wearing steel toe, came in handy, because when I was lowering the work center on the ground over there, I caught it on the end of my steel toe over there, my boots. So wear the proper protection and you should be fine. I definitely know I have to move this box away from this garage door rail in order to put any of these pieces on. So that's going to be another project of probably the easiest thing to move is this 56 over here. Yeah, over here. And then just work with those as they see fit. I'm pretty sure these, I'm not sure how heavy they're gonna be, but somehow I'm gonna have to figure out how to stand them up. And then once I stand them up, it should be pretty easy to roll around and maneuver. And then this is gonna be its own trouble. The last thing that I will say is, the key. So here's what I found out. So I talked about it briefly, and if you've watched other Toolbox tours, you've seen these icon keys, and they kind of fold. Try to do this one-handed. Yeah, they kind of fold to a 90. So here's why. So this is for the work center, by the way. If you got this guy, can I close this guy? And I got one more talking point after this. So insert the key. Sorry, a little bit grainy and fuzzy here. Insert the key, obviously straight, right? Straight. So here's what happens when you open this thing up. And it catches right here. So in theory, you could break that off. So here's what you do. You just flip it down, and then it just goes beneath it. So I think they've done that to all the keys just to make it standard. But that's the only. I once watched a video, and I know the guy was curious as to why they fold. And I actually just found this out accidentally when I was lifting it up, and I was like, oh, that might be it. So we'll just leave it up, leave the keys there. And I think the keys for the previous one, yeah, they kind of all fold. This is for the lower box here. So they all fold. Turn this light off. These shallow ratchets. That's my laser tool Premier. It's really come in handy for this. So the last thing that I'll mention is that initially when I had it, before I started like bolting it down, it looked like there was a large space right here. Sorry, between the door and the frame. And I was like, man, maybe I warped it from, kind of twisting it side to side when I was moving it. Well, after bolting it together, it doesn't look like there's really, there's a gap there, but it looks like a design gap. That side does look wider than this side, but maybe not. It's just how I'm looking at it. Well, it's definitely wider. You can tell right here is tighter than up here, but that's just it. Anyway, like me always say, like and don't hate the thing. And yeah, I'm gonna add this to this video. Don't try to install it like I did. It's can be dangerous.